Hey guys, it's Kyle down here at Lunicycle. Today I'm going to bring you a new assembly video on how to assemble the Talaria XXX. This particular one has the pedal kit installed, so they have packaged it a little bit differently and the assembly steps are slightly different. All of the Talaria XXXs will be packaged like this at some point, so we're going to go ahead and make a video now. You can follow all these same steps even if you don't have the pedal kit. The only difference would be at the end, instead of installing the pedals and crank arms, you would just install the pegs. So the first thing you want to do is cut all the straps, remove all the packaging, and find the parts box. Alright, so inside of the parts box you will find the two wheel bushings, you will find the stem, a headset spacer, the top cap, as well as the stem faceplate. You're also going to get, of course, the keys. On these newer packagings, the whole handlebar assembly is separate from the bike, so you will need to plug this in, and I'll show you how to do that. If you have the pedal kit version, you will get two crank arms and some pedals. They all come with a fender and then the tools to install all this stuff. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is install the stem and the handlebars. In order to install the stem, you do need to drop this little headset spacer onto the steerer tube. The stem then gets installed in this direction, and you do have a little top cap here. So go ahead and tighten down the top cap nice and snug. You can then center the stem as best as you can and tighten the two pinch bolts. Alright, next you can install your handlebars. They do have little guide marks on the front to help you center them. Then you grab the black faceplate, and you do want to tighten these bolts evenly. You don't want to tighten the top ones all the way down or the bottom ones all the way down. You want to tighten them top and bottom, just to be sure they're tightened evenly. Alright, so once you've got your handlebars mounted, the next thing you want to do is install the two brake levers. Your brake levers are dangling. To install these, you do need to remove the back half of the clamp. You just want to unscrew both of these little screws, and then you will have a left and a right brake. Alright, now this is one of the most important parts of this video. I know you're in a rush to go ride, but you do need to plug in all four of these connectors, and you need to plug them in properly, otherwise your bike will not work. So it's easiest to start with the little red brake cutoffs. You do want to find the corresponding red plug. So you see how we have a red plug here, the green plug here. The green plug is for the throttle, the red is for the brake. And you do want to carefully see the two little arrows. Now, you do need to take your time and plug these in properly. Don't be in a rush when you're plugging any of these in. Then have our 2 arrows for the throttle. Then over on this side, you do have these bigger black connectors. One of them is for the light switch and the controls. The other one is for the display. And these have arrows also. You got one red one on this side too. Alright, now that you've got your handlebars all set up, it's time to install the front wheel. Alright, now it's time to remove the front axle and install the front wheel. To do this, you will need to loosen all 4 of these pinch bolts. No matter what fork comes on this bike, they all have 4 pinch bolts. And then either 1 or 2 bolts on the end. This is the D&M fork, so it has 2 bolts. I prefer to loosen one of these bolts and then give it a smack with a rubber mallet, and that can help get the axle out. Sometimes you can just push it out by hand. Well, this one gets pushed out by hand, but if this is stuck, sometimes this can be very stuck. It's okay to tap this with something non-metal just to get it started. You can go ahead and remove one of these bolts. You can try to pull it out by hand, which this one does come out by hand, but if it didn't, again, sometimes these are very stuck. It is okay to take like a chamfered socket, put it in here, give it a little tap just to get this axle out of this wooden block. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this axle all the way out, and then I'm going to prop the bike up and install the front wheel. So we've got our axle fully removed. It doesn't matter which direction this axle goes in. Again, this is the D&M fork. On the factory fork, it does only go in from the non-brake side to the brake side. Alright, now it's time to install the front wheel. If you have a helper, they can just lift the handlebars up for you and you can install the front wheel. But if you're doing this by yourself, go ahead and dig through the packaging and find this cardboard cube. You can then prop the bike up just like this. You want this underneath the motor and not underneath the little kickstand wire. And then you should have enough room to install this front wheel by yourself. Now there are 2 little wheel bushings. These get put into place on the left and the right side of the front wheel. It's very important that you have these. Don't install your front wheel without it. And then go ahead and keep your eyes on the rotor. Go ahead and guide the rotor up in between the 2 brake pads. Once it's in place, you can go ahead and get the axle all the way through. Each of these legs move independently, so it can take a little bit of patience. You can go ahead and reinstall the big main axle bolt. Go ahead and tighten this main axle bolt. Don't go above 10 Newton meters on this, and also don't go above 10 Newton meters on these 4 pinch bolts. So you do want to tighten these 4 pinch bolts evenly, so you have 2 on this side and 2 on the other side. And these are what do all the work in holding your front wheel on. So you'll notice once you tighten the right side, then the left side's a little bit loose. So you do need to go left, right, left, right, left, right until these are nice and tight. Alright, now that you've got the front wheel installed, you can go ahead and remove this block. You can pull the rear wheel out of this base and you can set the bike on the kickstand. Only a few steps left. Time to install your front fender. It uses the 3 silver bolts with the washers. Alright, now for the pedal kit bikes, it's time to install the crank arms and the pedals. You will see that each crank arm has an R or an L. This means right side. So go ahead and remove the washer and the nut. You can go ahead and put the washer in place. And you will want to tighten this nut down using a socket. This is a 13 mil. Get these nice and tight. You just don't want these to fall off when you're riding. Next, you will see an R or an L on the pedals. And there's 2 ways to install these. You can use a 15 mil open end wrench, or you can go from the back side of it with a 6. And the right side is normal threads, the left side would be reverse threads. So you're going to twist it the opposite direction when you're doing the left side. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to start up your bike. Before you do that, you do want to go through and double check that all of your stem bolts are nice and tight. Go ahead and check these 2 pinch bolts. And then all 4 of the faceplate bolts. And now it's time to fire up the bike. In order to do that, you press this center button in the middle. It'll illuminate red. Then you do have 2 little key fobs here. These get swiped in front of this little sensor. You'll see then your headlight turns on and your display. Now before you can ride, you do need to put the kickstand up. And then you do need to press this start button right here. So once the kickstand's up and the start button is pressed, you will be able to ride the bike. Alright guys, the final thing to do is to air up the tires. The rear tire takes 34 psi, the front one is slightly different, it takes 32 psi. Once you've aired up the tires, it's time to go ride your bike.